Greetings, everyone. Hey, how you doing? It's Matt Sella. Today, we are doing a spoiler talk review for The Owl House, Season 1, Episode 14, dubbed Really Small Problems. Joined here via satellite radio, as always, it's my good friend Marc. How you doing out there, Marc?
Everything is so big.
Oh no, he got some of that potion on him. Slapped that piggy's cheek a couple of times. We gotta get him back to size.
Wow,
Wow, that worked fast.
magic.
Ain't it a wonderful thing, Marc?
Thank goodness for this convenient plot pig. Anyway, hi, Matt.
How you doing? I know that was a little weird, but hey, glad you're here. We're going to talk about this episode. Now, before we begin, may I remind you folks that if you want to hear audio-only versions of podcast reviews just like this, follow me on my Spotify channel. Links are usually in the description below. They go up a little bit sooner before the actual episode on YouTube does. And also be sure to check out some of my other reviews that we've done, such as BNA, Brand New Animal, an anime that I watched. But you also got Song of the Sea, a little Irish animated movie that Ivan and I talked about. And of course, you can't forget the flagship shows that Marc and I were reviewing for a while, and we want to continue reviewing once those episodes drops. It's DuckTales.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Anywho, we're having a weird day today, but let's not dawdle. Let's talk about this episode. Marc, could you let the fine folks know what was this episode, Really Small Problems, all about?
Well, Matt, King is jealous because after thinking he was going to get a fun day at a carnival with Luz, turns out Willow and Gus came along to ruin it and steal all their fun and affection. So he does the only rational thing that anyone would do, is be tricked by a very convincing mustache into getting a shrinking potion that'll shrink them. But he doesn't do it on purpose, and hilarity ensues. Ito works at a carnival. Oh yeah, they're at a carnival. Did I mention they're at a carnival? Because they're at a carnival. There's the fun police, and eventually everybody gets a little piece of cheap shrapnel to signify true friendship and not being eaten by unicorns. And that's pretty much the episode, really. And I don't know, I thought it was a really fun episode. I don't think this is an episode that, I feel like have kind of harped on, advancing the narrative forward. I didn't think this episode did that, and that's not entirely a negative for me, although it is something I like because I feel like there's a lot of questions in this world. But I'm also someone who doesn't use the term a filler episode as a negative. I think some of my favorite episodes and a lot of things are considered filler sometimes, but no, I liked it just fine. I think the fun police and Edith's thing, while completely ultimately irrelevant, was actually really funny, ironically enough. The second this episode started, I knew this was going to be a character gets jealous of other characters, does something, blah, blah, blah. But at least I guess it did subvert my expectations by having King, at least in this case, accidentally shrink them, even though I think he was going to anyway. And there may be some pacing issues with this one, particularly in terms of montages, but we could get to that later. And Tibbles is back, and this time he has a mustache and an evil plan, and it's fun. I liked it. I think it kind of just is a standalone little thing that was enjoyable. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, this is definitely an episode centered around a narrative concept we're very familiar with, the whole jealousy aspect to drive the plot. What I did like about this episode a lot, in my opinion, is the continuation of building King as a character in relationship to Luz. And I found that to be quite human. I like the fact that King wasn't as straightforward as a child in terms of handling his jealousy as I expected. He was conflicted. He knows there is right and wrong, and he didn't want to hurt anybody, even though he puts up this act a lot, saying like, I am the king of demons, fear me, motif. He really does care about Luz a lot and respects that Luz has other friends that he is trying to care for in a way. I really liked the exploration of that in this episode, and it wasn't just a straight up jealous, I didn't mean to go that far kind of thing. And there were a lot of cute moments for King. I gotta say, I really enjoyed those elements that they continue to put in throughout the show. Now, as far as some of the other characters, and I agree with you, Ida and the Fun Police was pretty inconsequential to the overall plot because you kind of expected like Ida to come to the rescue at the very end, but in all hindsight, she really didn't do anything, did she?
No, I thought she did absolutely nothing advancing the plot-wise. She could have just as easily stayed home.
So she was more of a spectator and the B plot to just kind of like fill out the episode. Now, it's interesting we mentioned that because, yes, I thought the pacing was a bit quick in this episode. There were a lot of great moments, I thought, of like telling the story of King and Luz trying to like balance their friendship while at the same time you had like Gus and Willow who kind of came out of nowhere to like join in with Luce as well, who has that relationship too. See how that pans out in King's perspective. But there were a couple of times where we had a first montage which I think worked well, but then a second one came up, and for some reason for me it felt disjointed, or it came too soon, and I had some like natural apprehension to it, as in like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Did you have any opinion on that in terms of its pacing or like the montages themselves?
I do think that was definitely a shared criticism of this episode, especially in regards to that montage there. I think also, I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I really don't like Gus and Willow anymore, if I'm going to be blunt. I kind of feel like they literally did hijack King's Day and everything. And I don't know, I think Gus in particular kind of just seemed to really be leaning in on it. I don't know. So it made it hard for me to think that it was like an unintentional thing. And even when they did quote unquote make up, I felt like Gus came across as rather somewhat sarcastic or passive aggressive to it. I don't know. I might be overthinking it, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't like Gus and Willow anymore.
Yeah, I'm semi in the same boat where I think Willow gets more of a pass because she seems more, I guess, older and collected. Like she can kind of read the room well enough, but definitely this episode made me kind of dislike Gus a bit more, because even when King is trying to like express his feelings or explain the situation, even when he does it to the rest of the group, Gus kind of comes in and treats him like a pet or a child, kind of dismissing his feelings right off the bat. And like you mentioned before, like even at the very end of the episode where he apologized, King, and tried to make amends with everybody by kind of sharing a memento saying like, hey, I'm sorry, I know she is your friend too, let's try to build that bridge. And like Willow, I think, is more accepting of it. But you're absolutely right, Mark. At the very end, Gus had to make one more little like quote unquote comical jab, but depending on how you read it, it really does sound passive aggressive, like he doesn't fully forgive King. And I don't know if that was intentional. Are we going to get another episode in the future where maybe King and Gus are going to have their own moment of growth? I don't know. But as of right now, Gus is kind of being a bit of a dick. I'm sorry to say that. Willow, a little less so, but at the same time, she didn't really express her emotions too much towards King, aside from just trying to solve the unshrink situation.
Right. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next episode, but this one was just fine for me. I enjoyed it, and justice for King.
Justice for King for sure. Well, I think that concludes some of our general thoughts on this episode, but now we want to hear your opinion, folks. Let us know in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the Our House Season 1, Episode 14, Really Small Problems? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Share your thoughts. Join the conversation. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when new videos drop. And if you want to support me directly, please consider going to my Patreon or do a one-time donation at my Streamlabs. All links are in the description below. This is Matt Sella.
This is Mark.
Thanking you all for tuning in. Got a fly in my throat there. Bye, guys.